Today, on Learning Through a Different Lens with Chelsea Centeno, I will be interviewing learning expert Ashley LaBay, and we will be discussing Miss Alcala's Highlighting Mistakes, a New Grading Strategy. This is a quick overview of the 9 learning principles. Learning is change, learning is inevitable, learning can be resisted, learning may be disadvantageous, learning can be incidental, learning is framed by our humanness, learning refers to both a process and a product, learning is different at different points in time, and learning is interactional. Now, with learning expert, Miss Ashley LaBay. Ashley, how do you think some of the learning principles are incorporated in Mrs. Alcala's classroom?
Great question, Chelsea. I think there are quite a few learning principles that are demonstrated in this video. Ms. Alcala states she wants every interaction to be a learning experience, and the video shows that individuals learn differently. For example, some choose to work with their groups and others try to figure out their mistakes on their own. When Ms. Alcala changes to the highlighting strategy instead of putting a grade on the test, she is showing the students that their grade is not as important as what they have learned. By changing the strategy, she is encouraging the students to learn from their mistakes. I think that this is a great idea because when she was putting a grade on the test, some of the students would see the grade and decide they weren't good at math. By highlighting the students' mistakes, they are learning where in the process of the problems they are making mistakes, which shows them why they are getting the incorrect product. They are able to talk to their classmates or their teacher to figure out what went wrong in the problems.
Great insight, Ashley. Thank you for sharing. We have already discussed the 9 principles of learning, but today we will also discuss the 3 different types of learning, and that includes cognitive learning, situative learning, and behavioral learning. Ashley, can you describe what cognitive learning is?
Yes, I can. Cognitive learning emphasizes understanding of concepts and theories in different subject matter domains and general cognitive abilities. This includes things such as reasoning, planning, problem solving, and comprehending language, and often occurs without the need of extrinsic incentive. It also suggests learning is a constructive process of conceptual growth.
Wow, that's really interesting. Can you describe how it's demonstrated in Miss Alcala's classroom?
Sure. This is demonstrated in Ms. Alcala's class because she uses highlighting and then has them problem solve to figure out what they did wrong. At the beginning of the class, she puts up some questions that were incorrect and asks the class why the question is wrong. By doing this, she is having the entire class determine what went wrong in the problem. Through this strategy, she is normalizing the process of making mistakes and allowing them to take more risk. Also, Ms. Alcala used cognitive learning by planning this new highlighting strategy to better the students' learning.
Typically, when talking about working in groups or communities and using tools, artifacts, and books, we are typically discussing situative learning. Is that correct, Ashley?
That is true, Chelsea. When working in groups that carry out cooperative activities, you are combining ideas and learning from other people in your group.
Ashley, will you provide us with some examples of situative learning in Miss Alcala's classroom?
Yes, I will. During class, Ms. Alcala goes over a few problems with the class as a whole and then tells the class to split into groups and talk about what is incorrect in the problems. Ms. Alcala also walks around during the group interactions and asks the students if they understand why they got the problem wrong. And she provides feedback when students do not understand. When talking about tools that are being used, we can consider the highlighting a tool that helps the students realize where they messed up in the problem so they can fix their mistakes. We could also consider the flow-through credit a tool for Ms. Alcala because she can then see the common mistakes her students are making.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
We are now going to discuss our final learning concept, which is behavioral learning. And it is described as knowing is observable connections between a stimulus and response, either strengthening or weakening that response. It includes an antecedent stimulus, the behavior, and the consequence. Do you have anything to add on this, Ashley?
Yes, I do. This is called the SRS model or the 3 contingency model, which explains that behaviors are caused by a preceding antecedent stimulus and followed by a certain consequence. This model can be strengthened or weakened by consequences such as reinforcement and punishment.
Ashley, you have provided us with so much information about each of the learning concepts. Would you be able to describe how behavioral learning is applied to Miss Alcala's classroom?
Thank you, Chelsea. I am happy to help. As for behavioral learning in the classroom, Ms. Alcala is learning a better way to grade by getting reinforced with how the students are acting and how their grades are changing towards the new strategy. Feedback is used throughout the video. Ms. Alcala uses positive reinforcement such as good job after a student answers a question. This increases the likelihood that the student will answer more questions in the future. Ms. Alcala is also shaping the students' behavior with redirection. When students were first introduced to the highlighting strategy, they would always ask her what their grade was for the assignment. Instead of telling the students their grade, she responded with, "Remember that your grade is not as important as how much math you have learned." Students no longer ask for their grades.
Thank you so much, Ashley. We really appreciate you being on Learning Through a Different Lens. We really hope that we can hear from you again soon, and until then, stay in touch.
Thank you. I will definitely stay in touch. I enjoyed being here.